interview with EnVy's winning AD carry.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm here with Lod after a grueling series there versus Echo Fox. Lost game 1, pretty long series there on a late Friday night. How are you feeling after a very long best of 3?
Really tired. That's about it. It feels good to beat Echo Fox. I think even though their score or like their standings doesn't really reflect their skill, I think they're a good team. So I'm glad we were able to beat them.
Cool, and I think I've noticed that you've played quite a number of AD carries through the first half of the split already. You seem to be comfortable in almost anything. Do you prefer playing one or the other, or do you just kind of play whatever the team needs?
I think my favorite AD to play is Ezreal, but honestly, with him, you kind of just get carried for 30 minutes and pray your team can make it through early game, so you don't really have too much of an impact until later. So, I mean, I like playing pretty much every AD, just whatever's good for the comp.
Well, makes sense, and I guess you guys have had a pretty good result so far. Were your expectations like this coming into the split? You're a top 4 team now, at least halfway through the split. Were you thinking a little lower, a little higher? Kind of what was the team's thoughts moving into the summer?
I mean, our expectations actually weren't too high. We hoped to get playoffs. We kind of expected to be top 6, but we didn't really expect ourselves to be doing this well. We did lose to like all the best teams, the top 3 teams, but we seem to consistently beat like all the teams below us. So I think it feels pretty good.
And I guess with those top 3 teams, you've got TSM, Scene, and Animators all above you. You're obviously kind of a newer AD carry to at least this season of the LCS. How are you feeling as far as your skill in relation to those top teams? Because you're almost there, but it feels like maybe you got a ceiling to punch through.
Yeah, personally, I feel pretty good. I don't really feel out of my comfort zone playing versus the top teams, but this season, or this split in particular, like the top team's macro play is just so ridiculously good. So it often doesn't really come down to like how good each player is on an individual level, but just how good the team is gelling together. So we have like a ways to go before we can break through and be better or beat the top 3 teams. But I think eventually by the end of the split, we could get there.
Yep, and you're halfway through now, so still plenty of season to go. You're playing Team Liquid to sort of kick off the next half of your season. How are you feeling about that matchup? And then moving through the next half of the season, where do you guys think you'll be?
I'm really looking forward to the match versus Team Liquid because they actually have a pretty different roster from when we played them before. They're using Dardoch and they have Fabi, so they're actually looking like a completely different team. They'll probably be like quite a bit harder than last time, and I'm looking forward to the match. I think it's going to be a good match.
Well, best of luck tomorrow. Congratulations on your win this evening. Thank you very much, Love, for joining me. But we're going to throw it back to Freaking Dash at the analyst zone.
Thank you very much, Pastry. EnVy managed to take the series, winning the second 2 games over Echo Fox. So we're not going to see 2 upsets tonight, just the one we'll have to do for now. But they will be happy to have picked that one up, especially given the fact that their previous couple weeks, they definitely seem to be stumbling a little bit. Granted, they were playing against most of the top-tier teams during those 2 weeks, but definitely that initial hot streak, that role that this new team in Team EnVy had, this is going to hopefully kind of moving into the second half of the split, give them a resurgence of energy.
And you heard Lod talk about it. He says, yeah, we thought we'd be playoff, not top 4, so that's kind of nice. But he's like, yeah, we lost all the top teams. So, yeah, EnVy feel appropriately placed. Their drafts felt better than last week's, where I thought they were pretty much all deplorable, all the games they played last week. So, I'm seeing some improvements. Yeah, they're a roughly 4th place team. And that's not shameful. They're a new squad. Okay, that's pretty damn good for a first split together. If that's where they end up, hey, good for them.
Yeah. Definitely wouldn't be unhappy.
But if they improve, cool. That's even better, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. Being in playoff position right now, comfortably moving into the second half of the split, still plenty of time to improve as a team. We dive into this third game in particular. What we'll notice is the fact that EnVy did build a pretty decent gold lead throughout the game. However, Echo Fox had control of the Dragons. So it's kind of, it's one of those things where most of the time we see the team with a gold lead managing to pick up the Dragons because they have that gold lead, so they're given the allowances. The other team won't contest. This situation, not the same.
And that's one of the things about Drake's compared to like Season 2, Season 3, where they're just gold and you just kind of scaling the same max. It's like, well, here's stats. Okay, that's nice, but like that didn't change the mechanics of how the game was working. And we got to see the matchup that Liquid wanted way back in the first game at the beginning of the day, where it's like, yeah, Fiora and Shen. First pick Shen, by the way, kind of weird about Echo Fox, but maybe there's a world where this would make sense. I was going to let it go for now. Echo Fox's draft still kind of weird, but hey, here comes Fiora and Seraph. Honestly, having a field day with this one. Seraph and KFO, I think players that people generally respect. KFO is a solid player. Here's Seraph winning the matchup. We were like trying to see if he could flame Horizon the guy throughout the game, But yeah, doing really good things on Seraph. Eventually, he's like 1v2ing at Nexus turrets. And it's like, yep, your base is going down. You're running out of time.
Well, Shen Fiora, we saw in the Cloud9
Exactly.
game where the Shen wins.
Smashed him.
Here, we've got the Fiora coming out on top. So again, it does kind of show there might be a bit of a skill matchup here. It might just be lopsidedness of the players themselves.
But it is them
Who's
trying
to
to
say?
play Fiora. In both cases, it's I see Shen. That's nice. Here's a Fiora.
Exactly. So ultimately, the Fiora does go off. This is going to tie into our replay, which is the game-winning fight from EnVy around the Baron Pit, 39.5 minutes into the game, 4 for 2. Seraph, man, just doing work in this fight as Fiora. Does have the GA to give him a little bit of confidence in terms of how he can dive in.
Backline access, focus onto Keith. A nice riposte right there, blocks out plenty of stuff. It's not Grim, but that's okay. He's going to dive right back in. He's forcing Keith to really just not get a ton of damage out. And this nice flash sort of resets and buys a fair bit of time. Just make sure that his own backline can do some damage, right? This is Lot on Seraph. He's going to get plenty damage output here. Right, booming across the backline, nearly knocks the Keith with again. Seraph, more good riposte, and somehow gets a dodge away from that one, which is really sick because he's able to recall into immediate TP to the bot lane because he knows there's an open inhibitor, it's more things to do, and so you're going to see him right away. There's the teleport in the bottom of the screen. So it doesn't even matter if Lot does this. It doesn't even matter if Ninja dies here. It's just buy enough time that Hard can't rejoin, and he can 1v5. He can 1v0 the base with a minion wave close by with a Baron buff. That's going to be a game-winning play.
And Seraph rightly does not concern himself with the remainder of that fight. So he just TPs to the bottom, says even if they don't get those kills, they delay the backs long enough, I can end this game. They do just that.
And even good on him to make sure he walks into the fight, not teleport, right? It's EnVy setting up the general play. And statistically, EnVy aren't actually doing a great job with their end games. Like based on their early game leads, they're like winning like roughly as expected. Like they're not out macroing teams in the late game, like pulling out wins they're not supposed to. They're just sort of playing kind of average in the mid to late game, statistically anyway, right? You can sort of point out points of brilliance and failure, whatever. But you're seeing some of that does exist, right? And when it focuses on Seraph himself, I think he's still a very smart player, very heady player. He's like, okay, because we're gonna get Baron, right? And because like I can play for this bot lane, I want to make sure I save TP so I can always go for that game-winning push, right? He was always playing for that condition, and he finds it there. And that's, again, mark of a good player. He's playing toward win conditions.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit because you say statistically, what in particular is giving us that
the
sense?
stat?
Is it game time? Is it they have X lead, so they should be able to close it by X time?
Exactly. It's basically saying, okay, it's like choosing like 50 minutes as your point. It's like, okay, if you're on average, every game you're 1,000 gold up, you should be winning 90% of those games.
Right.
And if you're only winning 80% of those games, your mid-game shot calling's wrong. Right. And that's the lens you're looking through there, is based on when they have leads, they should or should not be closing it out with this frequency, and they're just hitting par. Right. Which means they're number 4 because they're getting those early game leads and then playing them out averagely. And that's the statistical analysis. And of course you can go game by game. And they've played like 23 games now at this point. You could look at individual games, but that's what the stats tell.
And your point is further supported by the fact that EnVy plays some of the longest games in the league currently. So they're
not just like smashing games for closing. They're winning an average amount of games to closing.
Yeah, they need time. Now, granted, they're still winning most of their games, so that's a good thing. Whether it takes you 45 minutes or 35 minutes, winning is the most important thing. Doing it in a cleaner fashion is obviously nice. So you want to move to player of the game. Seraph is going to pick it up. That's not going to come as a surprise based on what we saw throughout this game on that Fiora, showing us that in this skill matchup, Fiora can beat out the Shen. We can have those late game plays. He has continued to impress throughout this split, both individually as a player, but also in the way that he stepped up and kind of helped grow and lead this team.
Yep, and you saw the build right there, right? Triforce from CDR is kind of nice. Like a lot of movement speeds you can get around the Shen into double lifesteal. I think it was double lifesteal. I think it was Hydra and Bloodthirster. So yeah, just sustain through what damage Shen does have, and then, well, if I'm allowed to get 3 items, I'm just going to smash you. Being ahead in items obviously helps a little bit. Got some help from his team. Nice job, Prox, and good job, all of EnVy. But yep, abusing the matchup, getting the rest of the team to play safe enough that they were good to go.
All right, well, EnVy finishing out their first half of the split with a victory. Now for a look at the updated LCS standings following our 2 series tonight. TSM and Immortals, well, they still lead the way. With their win tonight, though, Team EnVy has pulled into a 3rd place tie with Cloud9. Liquid moves into 5th place, and the bottom half of the standings in order is Apex, CLG, Energy, Echo Fox, and Phoenix 1. Now, the LCS is just getting started this week, so tune back in tomorrow for a slate of fresh matchups. At noon Pacific tomorrow, 2 big names are looking to move up the ladder, going head-to-head on NALCS 1 when Energy battles CounterLogic Gaming. And be on the lookout for our match of the week. It's a big one. Sunday, the Battle Theater becomes a battleground for Cloud9 and Immortals in their top of the table tango. And on Sunday, we're also hosting 2 special guests. Hotshot and Reggie will be joining the broadcast, with CLG and TSM also meeting on stage Sunday. It's going to be a show that you won't want to miss, regardless of where those 2 teams sit in the standings, TSM and CLG. It's always such a fabulously hyped matchup to watch just because of all the emotion and the history behind these two squads.
Absolutely, I mean, and we'll get to see CLG on Saturday if they have finally shaped up now that we're on week 5 and they're back to a good team. It's a little bit of the rumbling I'm hearing right now. If CLG's back on form, it's a nice team to try to knock down TSM with.
Right, and then of course we talked a little bit about at the beginning of the show, this Immortals versus Cloud9 matchup. Even though Cloud9 did fall today, down a peg, I'm still very excited for that matchup because of how close it was the first time and because of how many leaps and bounds C9 has made throughout the course of the split. Immortals still look to be very strong, and even Poe Belter, who many would argue was the weak link, if there was a weak link in the spring split, has really upped his play.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, all the weak links are now off the teams anyway. He's off, not playing League anymore. So, that's a weak joke. He's done so. But
I got you.
Yeah, I mean, after seeing C9 play yesterday, technically, yeah, okay, there's some more sort of holes there, but I think that's more Liquid looking a lot better and looking like a really solid team. I think there's no really shame in C9 losing that match. I think they're still a great team in Immortals. Haven't seen them in a week, but we're pretty sure they're amazing still.
Yeah, big matchups, big plays. We're always keeping our eye out on that hashtag LCS big plays. And tonight, one play in particular rose to the top with tons of you calling it out. I'm Not Perry tweeted out, Meteos, I worship your steals. Let's see Meteos cruise in and jack the Baron.
Meteos is in the area. He's going to try for a steal, but I don't think he'll make it in time.
Got Flash and Smite, and Phoenix wants to assassinate him.
Death ray damage, not quite enough. Meteos hero, no Lola goes, they stole it!
I threw Hawk shot.
Oh
my
gosh!
Nice.
Feels good, man.
That went down to 200 health as well. That was actually really, really kind of
was
tight
very
on the Smite. His own burst on auto attack came out, which knocked it into, I think, the Smite range. Dardock failed to hit his, obviously a misplay. But hey, you make it happen, you make it happen. Good for you.
Yeah, exactly. Those 50-50s, right? You play it as well as you can on Meteos' side. Team Liquid maybe could have done a few things to keep him away from the pit, but a hero play that kept him in that game. They didn't end up winning that game, unfortunately.
But it was cool.
But it was a big play. It was a big play, and that's all that matters. All you need is a big play. Well, while we're talking about tweets, earlier tonight, Bucci NZ came through with a gem, and we just had to share it. He writes, I'm loving Freak and Dash on the analyst desk. Well, you know what, Freak? I'm loving us too.
I am as well. I think this has been wonderful. I'm happy to share the space with you.
Yeah.
8 hours of League of Legends and lots of puzzles.
We've had a great time tonight.
Yeah.
For as long as the night has been, we've had a fantastic evening. The games have been fabulous. The company has been great.
Aww.
Thank you, Freak. No, but ultimately
well.
great. Hey, can you do that one more time? Can you actually do the Miley tongue?
Actually, it's
like
there
there it is. That's pretty good.
Right.
Yeah, that looks
I have a fairly large tongue, actually.
gross enough. All right, perfect. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Get this off the screen. I don't want to look at it anymore. All right, thank you
Look
very
at it
much.
anymore?
No, none of that. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. We need to get some rest so we can come back and see some awesome games tomorrow. For myself, Freak, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.